Awesome. So I kind of tweaked the title. What you guys signed up for was related to referrals, and I tweaked it to 5 surefire ways to attract more referrals. The phrase surefire, it means that it's certain to be successful or expected results. So, if you do these things as far as attracting more referrals, those are some very clear results that you should be able to achieve, and that's just based on best business practices and experiencing it over time. All right, so kind of quickly about me. We won't spend a lot of time on it, but my name is Kyle Hunt. I'm the owner of Remodel Your Marketing. Started it back in 2008, into year 11 already. And I work exclusively with remodelers around the country. And there's 3 main areas that I do the majority of my work, which is 1, marketing plan development. There's a lot of different ways that you can market your remodeling business. What are the ones that you're going to choose and implement, and what is the budget attached to that? So just delivering a clear marketing plan and budget. Number 2, which is what I'll be talking about in a couple weeks, which is related to the sales process. And that goes from right when we pick up the phone with that brand new lead all the way through to the completion of the job. And then 3, which Michael Stone's going to be touching on at the 3rd webinar of this series, is related to the financials. That's the other area I do a good amount of work in, is helping you understand, yes, your markup, your job cost reporting, understand your profit and loss statement, how to get a nice solid net profit at the end of the year, and that type of work. So I live in Michigan with my wife and 4 kids, and really love what I do. So we are going to dig into one of the items that should be in all of your marketing plans, which is referral generation. And it was actually very interesting because Alex kind of came up with this topic, and I think it was based on some of the feedback from various Clear Estimate clients. And it's a topic that I've spoken on, and certainly when I'm working with my remodeling clients, it comes up, but it's not something I've presented on very often. I was dusting off some old slides from several years back, but I don't care if it's 2019, 2029, 1999, 2049, generating referrals is going to be important in any of those time frames. It always has been and always will be. So I'm excited to kind of dig into this topic in a little more depth. You may or may not know this, but the reason you are here is to implement. When it comes to marketing your remodeling business, you don't lack marketing ideas. You have access to webinars, trade shows, various experts and their email lists, industry publications, friends and colleagues in the industry, books, podcasts, which, by the way, I have a podcast called Remodelers on the Rise. Just a little side note. That's all the selling I'm going to do, is just letting you know that. So you don't lack ideas. What I believe you lack is, if you do lack anything, is taking all those ideas and prioritizing them. Which ones are the most important? There's 1,000 different ways that you could market your business. What are the most important? And then probably the biggest part of it is implementing those ideas. So much of my work in the 11 years I've been doing this is not necessarily sharing with remodelers these amazing, I've never heard that before marketing ideas. So often what I teach and what I'm working with my clients on is very simple, proven, practical, effective marketing. So I just want to emphasize that, because the reason you're investing time in this webinar is so that you can perhaps be reminded of something. Maybe you do learn a little nugget or 2 of something brand new, but the biggest reason I want you here is to implement. A successful webinar today for me is if you're able to leave this webinar with even if it's just one specific thing that you heard that you're going to take back into your business and implement. Okay, so I wanted to just make that really clear. What I don't want to do is just overwhelm you with information. What I want to do is present good, solid information. And what I'll be asking for as we go, and especially at the end of this webinar, is share a takeaway. Share something that you're going to implement. All right, enough of that. So when you look at the projects that you did last year, when you look at, in particular, how those people originally found you, and let me just pause there and do a little side note. Are you tracking your leads and Every time you're talking to a new prospect or a new opportunity, are you asking them, how did you hear about us? If not, that might be your one takeaway from this webinar. If you are kind of being lazy with that, or just not doing it consistently, or you would not be able to say, hey Kyle, in 2018 I generated X number of leads, and here were the sources of those leads: website, referrals, strategic partners, social media, whatever it might be. If you're not doing that, make sure you write that down, circle it, put some stars next to it. We have to measure it. What gets measured gets improved. And if we start to track where leads are coming from and actually have some data to look at, it will help us invest our precious and limited marketing dollars better. All right, so I'm going to end that little rant. Where I was going with that is, when you look at the projects you did last year, if you're like all of the remodelers I work with, chances are one of your top lead sources are referrals from previous clients and or referrals from strategic partners. So the first one of those is pretty self-explanatory: previous clients, people who you have worked with referring you to others, family, neighbors, colleagues, friends. The second group, strategic partners, is something we're going to get into in greater detail in point number 4 and a little later on. But chances are one of your top lead sources are referrals, and most likely you're receiving them not because you're proactively asking for them or because you have a referral system to produce more of them, but probably more naturally and organically. You did work for them. They ran into somebody that needs a kitchen remodel, and they thought of you, which is not a bad thing. It's definitely not a bad thing at all. But we're going to talk about how to be a little bit more proactive, professional, not slimy or anything like that, but a little bit more professional in how we approach generating referrals. Let me ask you, this is partially to get you guys involved in the chat box, because the answer should be pretty straightforward, but I'm driving at a point here. There's 2 options. This is option number 1, and in the chat box you're gonna either put number 1 or number 2, depending on what you would prefer. I have 2 leads for you, 2 remodeling leads. Option number 1 is coming to you and saying, hey Kyle, or they put your name in there. My name is fill in the blank, and I was referred to you by one of your happy clients. A lead that's coming to you that says, hey, I was referred to you by one of your happy clients. And then option number 2 would be a lead that says, I found you online when searching kitchen remodeling. Can you come out and look at our project? Which of those 2 leads would you prefer to come into your business today? Toss it over into the chat box. Who's going to be first? There we go. They're flowing in. Boom, 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 boom. Ooh, okay. One person said both. Right. Both is an acceptable answer. It's not a terrible thing to have either one of these. Amanda, you said number 2, which I'm going to ask for you to explain that in another reply, unless you're just trying to cause a little trouble and keep me on my toes. Everybody else is tossing in there is putting number 1. And why? And Amanda, I want you to put it in there because I'm intrigued now. Okay, why do all of you pretty much put option number 1? I would argue that the reason for that is because referrals are powerful. So there's a definition of marketing that I like to use that goes like this: getting someone who has a need. Marketing is getting someone who has a need to know, like, and trust you. Everything we do to market our remodeling business is kind of revolved around that. Getting someone who has a kitchen remodel to know, like, and trust you. As an example, when we get a glowing testimonial or Google review, that's playing into certainly the trust aspect, kind of a third-party endorsement of who we are. So know, like, and trust. When you get a referral, there's already some solid know, like, and trust embedded into that referral. They have talked to one of your clients who has shared about your business, who has talked about their experience, perhaps even in a very, very glowing way. Referrals are powerful because of that. They come with some know, like, and trust built in. A couple of the reasons why referrals are so powerful: people like to give referrals. When I've had a great experience with somebody and I have the opportunity, somebody comes up to me and says, man, do you know a good say car repair place, and I had a wonderful experience with Brighton Automotive, I'm excited to share that. It feels good to share that. I enjoy being able to help that business. I enjoy being able to help my friend. I'm confident because of my great experience with them that I know that they're going to have a good experience. So people like to give referrals. There is a wonderful return on investment with referrals. When you start tracking what I was talking about earlier, how people find out about you, and the next step in that, if you got that down, would be to look at how much you invested in each of those areas. So for example, I don't want to lose you too much, but we'll get a little numbery. For example, if I generated 10 website leads last year and I spent $5,000 on my website, that means my cost per lead for every lead that I generated from my website was $500. Referrals have an amazing ROI. There may be some investment that we're making in our referral program and perhaps staying in touch with our previous clients, which we'll get into as we go through here. But chances are one of your best cost per leads is going to be referrals, right? Word of mouth. And I hit on this a little bit, but referrals come a lot better qualified a lot of times, and they usually have a shorter sales cycle. That second one, that second option that most of you didn't pick, it comes with not a lot of know, like, and trust. They've been to your website, but there's a lot more that you're going to need to do to differentiate your remodeling business, to explain why they need to choose you over others. Versus number one, they're already coming a lot of times much further down the road. That know, like, and trust has been built in a lot of different ways. So a lot of times what we see with referrals is a shorter sales cycle and a more qualified lead. All right, cool. So with that, wanted to give just a little background on that, why referrals important, talk about a few other little lessons like, tracking where our leads are coming from. Let's get into kind of the meat of it, these 5 different ways to attract more referrals. So this first one, and I'm going to pause here just to read Amanda. Actually, Amanda, we'll get back to your item in a little bit. But Brad, you're kind of echoing what I was saying there. The job is already half sold, right? I mean, as Brad knows, 62% of all statistics are made up. Just pausing there. If you guys were all live right now, there'd be roaring laughter because that's one of my best jokes. So he says the job is already half sold. I don't know if exactly half sold, but pretty much, right? Pretty much. They're coming with a lot of know, like, and trust built. Oh, I got a ha-ha to some people. Good. Just making sure you guys are alive and paying attention. So number one way to generate more referrals is to be remarkable. And I actually considered making the entire presentation solely and only about this, but I decided that I should probably add a lot more to it. But the reason I emphasize it is because it is by far the most important part of attracting more referrals. To be remarkable, or said another way, to be excellent, or said another way, to deliver an exceptional remodeling experience. Okay, we're talking about how to generate more referrals, and I'm adamantly and clearly starting with this, and then I'm kind of repeating it. Be remarkable. If you want more referrals, be excellent. If you want more referrals, deliver an exceptional remodeling experience. I just want that to sink in. We generate more referrals when we give our clients an exceptional experience. Okay. Our goal is not to have satisfied clients. We want thrilled clients. And there's a big difference between, they did okay. They got the job done. We were pleased with, we were pleased with the finished product. Communication, it took longer than we thought, but we're okay. Versus a thrilled client. So a big exercise, and this may be your takeaway. Again, right? I'm looking for maybe one takeaway that you can look for and you can implement into your business. This might be your takeaway, and it's to step back and take a hard look at your business and how remarkable or not remarkable you are right now. And some things and this is where going back to the recording will probably be helpful. Let me just go through some of these questions that should kind of come to your mind here. Are we delivering our project on time? Right? We do a kitchen remodeling project. These people are washing dishes in the bathroom or the laundry room, right? They're eating out more often. We said this project was going to get done in 5 weeks. Do we deliver it on time? It's a huge thing. Are we delivering the project on budget? Have we had a strong, project development process, if we get all the selections made up front so the project happens more smoothly with less change orders and less allowances, are we delivering the project on budget? How's your communication? Do you respond quickly? Do you respond professionally? I'm not saying you have to answer the phone every second of every hour, but are we being excellent with our communication? By the way, I'm going through things that your clients really care about: on time, on budget. How's the communication? This one was an interesting one when I was thinking about it, is would you love working with your company? Would you enjoy the process of working with your company? It's an interesting thing to just step back and think about. If not, what wouldn't you enjoy about working with you? Quality levels, the quality there. Are you delivering excellent on the quality side of things and the actual product that you're delivering? Are you a company that is enjoyable to work with and be around? Or are we stressed? Are we spread thin? Are we making excuses on why certain things aren't getting done? Something to consider. What about job site cleanliness? This is a huge thing that homeowners care about, right? Are we doing everything we can to put up dust barriers? Do we have a build clean system? Are we sweeping, each night? Are we taking care of our tools? Are we making sure everything, the job site, is clean? And how's the end of your projects? Are you finishing strong? Do you have a really solid walkthrough at the end, or are you kind of sputtering across the finish line? So those are some things to get you guys thinking about, are we remarkable or not? And it's, again, we're talking about referrals. We're talking about generating more referrals. And this is where I'm starting, and this is where I'm just hammering in here. Another thing you can consider when you're thinking about these different questions is to get your team involved in these questions. Something I've been sharing with my Remodeler Circle mastermind groups and with a lot of my one-on-one clients lately is this little exercise called keep, start, stop. Keep, start, stop. So when we think of the top line question of, are we remarkable? Or how can we be more remarkable? What should we keep doing? What should we start doing? What should we stop doing? It's a very interesting little exercise that makes it easy for you to get involved, get all of your team involved. What should we keep doing to be remarkable, start doing, or stop doing? Okay. All right, excellent. All right, so being remarkable. The other thing on here, it just takes work. By the way, in case you were wondering why this remodeling business is hard, it's because it's stinking hard. You can line up any other small business next to home remodeler, and I'm a little bit on the home remodeling side of things. These are my people. This is who I work with. This is where all of my focus is. But you line up a chiropractor, a CPA, a lawyer, the restaurant down the street, the little boutique shop downtown. Line up all of these small businesses and tell me a business that's harder than remodeling. Dealing with rules, regulations, permitting, breaking open walls in people's homes, disrupting their normal day in and day out lives. Oh, by the way, we still need to market and sell, and we've got employee issues, we got suppliers, we've got job costing, understanding our P&Ls. It's a hard business. So I'm empathetic when I say being remarkable takes hard work. Remodeling is hard. It is hard. But again, there's no better way to attract more referrals than to be truly remarkable, to give an exceptional experience. No, I didn't say perfect experience. That shouldn't be what we're after. But yes, an exceptional experience. It is far and away the biggest key to steady referrals. So I wanted to hammer away at that. And I think the goal with the takeaway there is, even just through the different bullet points of items I went through of thinking about, are we remarkable with this or that? There hopefully is maybe one thing that floats up to the top of the list saying, you know what, we have got to improve fill in the blank. Because if you improve that, the experience is going to be better and referrals are going to come better. Okay? All right, very good. I don't know if I could more passionately share that. I did have a next slide that says, let's cover number one again. But I think I hammered it pretty hard. I will share this phrase that I've liked over the years, which is advertising is the price you pay for not being remarkable. Advertising is the price you pay for not being remarkable. And that's not to say that your advertising budget should be zero, but it is an interesting thought where advertising starts to go a little further into the back burner if you're being remarkable, and through that you're generating a solid number of referrals, of qualified leads. All right. I'm seeing a little bit of a couple people saying that the slide is a little slow. Hopefully the audio is good. I don't have a ton of slides, so even if there's a little delay, it should be okay. All right, cool. We good, Alex?
Yeah. So Ryan,
Right.
I believe Ryan maybe thought that we were on a different slide, but I think we were just on that still the number one slide. Is that correct,
Gotcha.
Kyle?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's just there's a 6 second delay between the presenter and the audience, so that's probably where the small delay comes in
So,
there.
so what do you have? Do you have like? Is it like TV where if I said something just totally offensive, or if I cussed a bunch, you could block it?
Yeah, we could absolutely do that.
Wow.
Hopefully, hopefully we don't have to do that.
I doubt, I highly doubt you will need to. All
But yeah, Ryan, I think everything's all set for you.
right. Cool.
And I believe we just moved over to number 2.
Yep. All right. So
Awesome. Awesome.
I emphasize number one, and let's get through number two, maybe even scoot through number three before I pause and just ask for some takeaways. But if you have even a takeaway so far from what we've covered, I would love to see it over in the chat box, something that you heard, something that you're going to want to implement. All right. So number two, it says educate referral sources. Educate referral sources. So there's a little tool that I have called the perfect introduction. If we want to attract more referrals, one way is to make it easy to refer us. Have you ever been frustrated by getting referrals for projects that you don't even want referrals for? It's very kind of them to send you that friend of theirs that needs that window repaired. And they kind of just thought, well, they do remodeling, home repair, etc. When in reality, that's just not a good referral for you. So one tool that I like to implement with my remodeling clients, and that I would emphasize or encourage you to implement into your kind of more referral program to generate more referrals, is something called the perfect introduction. So there's 4 parts to it. One is just answering the question, how would you spot our ideal client? Just giving a good description of who they are. Maybe it's location, maybe it's the type of project. Okay. Number 2, how to best communicate what we do. I was going through earlier and going through the on time, on budget, prompt and remarkable communication, job site cleanliness. All of those items a lot of times end up being some key things that you do that differentiates you from others. Maybe other people might claim they do it, but when you put that in writing and say how to best communicate what we do, or this is how we're different, this is who we are, that is a very strong thing to put as part of this perfect introduction. The third thing is our client referral offer, which we're going to talk about in number 3. And then number 4 is our referral process. Do you have a specific page that you want them to go to? Is there a specific way that you'd like them to refer you? Are you perfectly fine if you just if they share your cell phone number, or would you prefer it to go to the office? Just kind of sharing with them just step by step what your preference is there. So this perfect introduction sheet, if you want a copy of it, you'll see my email address or my cell phone. You can text me or send an email, or I would assume if you don't write this down, but you say, man, Kyle had a few resources, even if you respond maybe to one of Alex's emails, he can forward that on to me and I can send you the resource. But I've got a nice outline for you that I'd be happy to send over. That would be the template for this perfect introduction. All right, cool. So number 3, as far as surefire ways to attract more referrals, is to reward those who refer you. Reward those who refer you. So there's an author named John Jantz, and he wrote this book called The Referral Engine. And I like to kind of share this example when I talk about this particular topic. He wrote a book on small business referral programs. So he's studied hundreds, probably thousands of small business referral programs. And if he was on this line and you asked him the question, when somebody refers you and that person ends up becoming a paid project, should you give or do something for the person who originally referred them? He would resoundingly say yes. And I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. People appreciate being recognized. People appreciate maybe getting rewarded a little bit, not over the top, but a little bit for it. I've even found in my own kind of referral behavior, whether I think I realized it after the fact, that, when that little bouquet of, I shouldn't say bouquet, but that little box of cookies came when I referred so-and-so, that was a really nice little thing. People are more apt to refer you more in the future when you recognize and appreciate the referral that they sent you. So there's two things here that I want you guys to think about. One is when somebody refers you, what do you do? And then number two, when somebody refers you and they become a paying project, what do you do? Hopefully you can see those two differences there. So one is just when somebody refers you. If you get a referral today from Sally, who you did a kitchen remodeling project with last year, what do? Do you have a process? It could be as simple as, you know what I do? I pick up the phone and I call them and I thank them, and also just say, oh, and can you tell me a little bit more about Joe, who you referred? Or, if I've texted with them a lot in the past, I shoot them a quick text, or I pull out a thank you card that I have these thank you cards just sitting on my desk in my office, and when somebody refers us, I just write out a little thank you card, and I make it really easy where I've written, kind of written out the script for that of 2 or 3 sentences. I personalize at the end, but I make it really simple, and get that out the door. Whatever it is, the answer should not be, somebody refers me, and if I remember it, maybe sometimes I do thank them or reach out. That might be your takeaway. If the last 10 referrals you've received, you have not thanked the person that referred you, that should be maybe one of your key takeaways here. Again, it doesn't have to be fancy. It could be maybe you buy $10 Starbucks cards and you have your little thank you card there, and you put a little Starbucks card in there that just says thanks a latte. Get it? Alex, you're the only one that can audio, everybody can hear. That's funny, right?
Should I laugh here?
Yes, correct. Thank you. Just like we rehearsed. Thank you. Right. So it could be something simple, but we should be doing something. You want to attract more referrals? Thank them. Be kind to them. Show their appreciation, because you do appreciate it. It is amazing when somebody puts your name out there, when they put their kind of reputation on the line on behalf of you. That says, call Kyle. He'd be great. I know that he can help you with this. And then the second part of when somebody refers you and they become a paying project, that might be a little bit different. Right? And that's getting at what I was talking about earlier of what do we do for them? Is it something a little bit better, a little bit fancier? So let me actually pause real quick before I slide to that screen, although with a 6-second delay, it may have slid back and forth. One of my clients the other day said, hey, remember that client that referred me? I think it actually was an architect that referred me. I was thinking about getting them I know they like skiing, and I was thinking about getting them an overnight stay at Boyne, which is up in northern Michigan, and just some ski passes. I think they would love that. And he had referred him a pretty large, full edition project. It was a several $100,000 project, about a $200,000 project. And my response to him was, I think that might be a little too much. Like that's going to cost you probably $1,000, $800 to put them up for a night, ski, et cetera, et cetera. They might look at that and say, maybe you just shouldn't have sent me that and bought that and just given my buddy a little bit of a discount on this project. So there's times where it might be too much, okay? But there's other times where there's just kind of a sweet spot on some things that you could do. So here's some ideas for when you get a referral that turns into a new client. I have a lot of clients that do number 1 and 2. And sometimes they combine it where they'll send a little note out that says, thank you so much for the referral of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We've been working on their project. They signed with us last week. And as a thank you, part of our referral program is we'd like you to just select one of the 2 options you see below. Either we'll donate $100 to the local charity of your choice as a thank you, or we'll do a $75 dinner gift certificate to Brighton Bar and Grill, or whatever, maybe restaurant that you already have some cards to. It's always interesting to actually, a lot of my clients do this where they put it a little bit higher, $100 for a local charity donation and $75 for the gift certificate. And it is always a little humorous when somebody chooses the lesser amount, but the one that will fill their belly. So it's always kind of interesting, but a lot of times it's kind of like 50-50. The local charity of your choice has been just a nice thing. Like there may be a local band boosters, there may be a Rotary Club they're involved in, there might be a Humane Society they're involved in. It is really nice for them to take a $100 check into a cause that they support and do that as a thank you. $75 dinner gift certificate. When you're out, when they're out eating that nice meal on your dime, they're going to remember you. And they're going to be more apt to refer you in the future. I've seen it. and experienced it. So it's just a nice way to thank them. Maybe you have several carpenters, and maybe you do something like 2 hours of handyman work from one of our carpenters. Everybody's got little jobs and loose ends and honey-do lists around their home. I've had several clients that do that. Could be some type of rewards program or something related to a local vendor relationship you have. A nice bouquet of flowers or cookies is a very simple and practical thing you could do. There's just a lot of different things you could do. Don't go over the top with it, but also don't do nothing, right? The key thought here is to do something in both cases, if they refer you and even if it doesn't turn into anything, and especially if they refer you and it turns into something. All right, cool. So let me pause here. Any questions that you're seeing flow through, Alex? Or also, as we're going through here, what are some takeaways you've had so far? Always driving at that. What's something that you're going to grab and implement?
Yeah, I think Mark had a good note there, talking about smaller repairs leading to, full-size referral jobs.
Yeah, so even a small repair leads to future remodel. Keep a minimum service call cost and reduce your remarkable. Ooh, I like how he's emphasizing remarkable. He's obviously hearing it in my voice. Man, if your guys' takeaway is, I can generate more referrals if we're more remarkable. It's a wonderful thing to have humming in your head. Yeah, but yeah, Mark, right? So sometimes, and that's a strategy decision. I have certain clients that, unless it's a previous client, they turn down anything under a certain dollar amount. But other times it can be a great lead source. That's really a strategy decision. Brad, send gifts to their work. Now everyone sees it. Nice little wrinkle.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
That Brad. Let me confirm who this is. No, that's a different Brad. There was a Brad down in Ohio. I don't know Brad with Team Handy, but both Brads are geniuses. All right, cool. Also a good idea, Brad. All right, nice. All right, number 4. Let's kind of keep humming through these last 2. So we'll do a little open Q&A in the end. Keep posting some takeaways. Post some questions as well. All right. So develop strategic partners. So if you remember earlier when I was talking about generating referrals, I said one comes from homeowners, people that you've done work with. And another way that I see a lot of referrals come into your remodeling business is through strategic partners. And this is often an overlooked, underutilized area of things. So let me kind of define what this is and who this is. The definition of a strategic partner is anyone who shares the same ideal client as you do. Anyone who shares the same ideal client as you do. So think of other businesses. It could be an architect. It could be a designer. It could be, high-end landscaper. It could be something like that around, around the kind of the building trade side of things. Or maybe you work with high-end clients and you've got a relationship going with the local Tesla dealer or Lexus dealer, or your CPA that you use works with a lot of business owners, and some of your ideal clients are business owners. All right, so it doesn't have to be just within the remodeling realm of things or the building trades. But what we end up doing is, I think if you went back and looked at your 2018 leads, I think what you would see are some referrals from strategic partners. It could be from your suppliers. It could be from other professional service providers, architects, realtors. It could be from your trade partners. That's the phrase that I use instead of your subcontractors. Trade partners is a nicer way of kind of putting that, especially when you're talking to clients and prospects. I'm guessing that if you went through that, you would see some referrals from those sources. And what I want you to do is kind of lean into that a little bit. Those things happen, but we may not be proactively looking to strengthen those relationships. So this little quote is a quote from a kind of a business guru named Jay Abraham. The more people you talk with, network with, develop a relationship with, the more opportunities and insights you will have. Opening one door leads to dozens of other doors. Opening dozens of doors leads to hundreds of others. So it's that thought of continually expanding the network of people who know what you do. So a couple steps related to this. Step number 1, and this could be a key takeaway, is just to make a list. When I do this with my remodeling clients and I say, okay, strategic partners, this should be part of your overall marketing plan. And I say, make a list. Usually they're able to kind of come up with 5, 6, 7, 8 pretty quickly. You know what? So-and-so used to refer me. I haven't talked to them. Man, I haven't talked to them in a while. Or, this person refers me consistently. And with a little bit of pushing, usually the list gets up to 10 or 12 or 14 companies or people. Now that you have the list, do a BLB. And I'm not going to define what a BLB is because that's going to be at least one question we have at the Q&A here in a minute. Somebody ask me what a BLB is. Okay. Another thing you do here is just refer other people. There's this rule of reciprocity. Actually, I do need to define BLB so I can hammer home that point. BLB is breakfast, lunch, or beer. So the thought is part of your marketing plan, if you just did one BLB a month, if you went to one of these strategic partners that you made a list of and just say, hey, hey, Alex, would you like to do a BLB with me? You'd probably say, what the heck is a BLB? And I would say it's a breakfast, lunch, or beer. What would you prefer? It's a clever acronym that I came up with years ago just to hammer home this point that it's just smart marketing and you're going to generate more referrals if you do some BLBs, even one a month. That's 12 for the year. That's going to generate know, like, and trust and some opportunities for you. And the other thing you do related to strategic partners is refer others. If you have the opportunity to refer your trade partner or refer an architect or refer a designer, there's a rule of reciprocity. Reciprocity means the more that you give to somebody, the more that you help somebody, the more they feel it necessary to pay you back, to give back to you. So be somebody that, and BNI has that phrase, that catchphrase, right? Givers gain, and it's very true. The more you give, the more you're going to see in return, which is a very nice thing and cool thing. All right. So that's number 4, is developing more strategic partners and being a little bit more proactive with that. All right. Number 5 is just some other little things. Some other little things that I wanted to toss in related to attracting more referrals. This phrase "little things" is kind of a phrase that I've used for years and years, and the truth of it is that running a successful business in general, but in particular a remodeling business, is not about finding like this one magic bullet. Oh man, if I was just doing this, everything would be going smoothly and wonderfully. It's actually a combination of a lot of little things. That's how you run a successful remodeling business. When you look at the top 10% of remodelers out there, they're not just doing one thing differently than everybody else. It's a combination of a lot of little things that make them remarkable. So I wanted you to kind of keep that in mind, is focus on the little things, the communication, the delivering the project on time, on budget, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so some of the little things I wanted to share with you. One is make referrals a little bit of an expectation. This is something that you can be talking about during the sales process that you can kind of share with them, or even right when they sign with you. It's another good time to share this, is that our goal is that you're going to be so thrilled with the work we do for you that whether it's at the end of the project, 3 months later, 3 years later, you're going to happily refer us to your family and friends. Referrals are vitally important to our business over the years, and our whole goal in this process is to give you a remarkable experience. Put it out there. Make it an expectation. Talk about referrals being important. Or maybe you check in with them halfway through the job and you say, one of our goals is to secure a 5-star review from you at the end of the project. Is there anything that would prevent you from doing that right now? Right? That would get right to the chase. Is there something that you can improve? Is there a place that they're not feeling the love that you could fix? All right. So that's that one. Another one is just asking for referrals. This was a couple of years ago. I was sharing this with a client and it struck me and said, when was the last time I asked for referrals? I've got a good solid list of clients and they know other remodelers, whether across the state through their HBA groups or through different networking groups. And wouldn't you know it, when I was just a little more proactive with just simply asking for referrals, I generated more referrals. And I've seen this happen with my clients as well. What if you just shot a text message to your 10 best clients and said, hey, I was thinking about you today, and one of the things that I was learning during a webinar today is to ask for referrals. So I thought I'd shoot you a quick note and just see if you had anybody that might be looking to remodel their home. Is that pushy? Is that slimy? Are you going to say, sign here and you got to give me 3 names before, we move, before I leave your house? None of that. But on the flip side of that, not doing anything or never asking for referrals is also not a good approach. So just asking for referrals during the sales process, on your invoice or your surveys that you send out, which I mentioned, in your website, your email signature, and your social media, asking for referrals. What I have there on a quote is the bottom of a lot of my clients' email newsletter. I have a done for you email newsletter program. At the bottom of that, we write this, which says, we believe that the best way to make new friends is through our old friends. That's why referrals are so important to us. Please keep us in mind as you are talking to your family, friends, colleagues. Have that message out there. Copy and paste that. Put that in your email signature. Put that in your communications at the bottom of your invoice. Make it apparent that referrals are important to you. A couple other items. I was talking to my wife last night about this topic. I said, yeah, I got a webinar tomorrow, and I should mention it to her more often, because she always has these little brilliant nuggets. And she said, well, as far as referrals go, make sure that they have your number in their cell phone. And she's like, I referred so-and-so the other day, and the reason I did, or what made it easy, is I could just share the contact with Jenny. Simple, right? But making sure that your phone number is in their phone makes it easy for you to refer them. Make sure we're staying in touch. If you did a project with me 2 years ago, you remodeled my kitchen, and I haven't heard from you since then, that's not good. We should be staying in touch, whether it's via phone, whether it's via email, whether it's with a email newsletter once a month, whether it's periodically with a print newsletter or a postcard in the mail. We've got to stay in touch with our previous clients. How do we attract more referrals? We stay top of mind. You send out an email newsletter, and they just talk to their coworker down the hall, and they can just forward that email to them. Hey, this is who I was talking about. Their contact information is below. That's smart marketing. That's smart business. Give referrals. The more referrals you give, that rule of reciprocity kicks in, and the more you get back. And again, on your invoices, surveys, on your website, etc. All right, cool. Ooh, this one just starts with a hey you, right in your face. What's one thing you're going to implement? So we're at the 11:46 Eastern Standard Time. We've got a short 14 minutes left. And just wanted to kind of open up for some Q&A, and also for you maybe to answer this question in the chat box. What's one thing you're going to implement out of what you've heard? And then also just toss these two things out there. So Q&A time, let's get into that. You can reach out to me via text message or email. And then also, where's that? There it is. Also, here's just a link to my podcast. There's a private Facebook group that I have for remodelers that is active, and just ton of great people in there. If you go to remodelerscommunity.com, or if you just search Remodelers Community on Facebook, you can request to join that. Or if you want a complimentary strategy session, feel free to call or text or email. But more than anything else, I hope you have a takeaway or two from what we covered. Cool. So Alex, some questions or some topics?
Awesome. Yeah, well, thanks everyone for joining us. Yeah, please feel free to ask us any questions over here on the right side in the chat feature. One thing that I'll mention here is back to what Kyle was just talking about a couple minutes ago, staying in touch with your previous customers. So, with this in mind, Clear Estimates just implemented a feature for you to download all of your customer information. So that's first name, last name, email, phone number, for this particular case, so you can reach out to them, because we should be staying in touch with all of our previous customers.
Yep.
We should never, that should never go cold. Those are our main referral resources. Those are our easiest resources, and it's very easy to, connect with a CRM or an email marketing tool. And I know a lot of our customers don't use those, and they're fantastic resources where basically we can upload a list of emails. Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
Super practical. Download it out of Clear Estimates. Go to MailChimp, mailchimp.com. Set up a free account under 2,000 names. It's going to be free. Import that spreadsheet in. It's very easy. Now all of a sudden you've got a database and a tool at your disposal that you can send a note out. Maybe you just finished up a project. You can post a picture of that. Just a lot of different ways to do it, but we've got to be staying in touch with our previous clients. You guys are making it easy by exporting it out.
Yeah, then Carlos had something interesting there, Kyle. He provides a free change order if he receives a referral during the process there.
Very cool. Very cool. Carlos is playing with fire because they're like, well, can we change? We can do a little change order for this full bathroom remodel over here. I'm sure he presents it in a way that it makes it kind of clear that, but that's excellent, Carlos. It could be, upgrading the, the mantle on the fireplace. It could be maybe a little nicer trim in a certain area. There's a lot of different things to do there. That's great. Nice work, man. I see Amanda kind of talking about a takeaway. So toss in here a few other takeaways. What's something that you maybe heard during the presentation that you're going to implement? Amanda mentioned, I know Amanda, so she's newish, been there for a little while as an office manager for one of my clients. But she is saying, I don't know if we're doing anything for people that refer others to us. So she's going to dig in and look at that and see if we're doing it or not. It's great. Brad, add to my sales process that we want them to be so thrilled with our work they will want to refer us. That's excellent, right? I mean, it's just saying that, and you mean that. I know that that's what you guys are after. You know, our goal is that you're going to be so thrilled with the work that we do for you. Is that, and here the way that I phrase it is, whether at the end of the project, 3 months later, or 3 years later, you're going to happily refer us to your family and friends. Right? There's no pressure there of like, when we're done with this project, you're going to refer us. No, if the opportunity arises, sure. But we're talking just years later, you're still going to be thrilled with the work we do for us. That's our goal. You know, put it out there. It forces you to step your game up, to be more remarkable, to set that expectation. Good. Give me a few more takeaways, people. Let's finish strong. Any others you can think of, Alex, or things that you takeaways that you had even?
No, I think everything was fantastic. I think, the presentation was awesome. I really enjoyed the points, especially about just reaching out to our customers. Referrals are going to be the least amount of work. They're going to be the most beneficial. I thought it was pretty interesting, the incentives that we were providing to our customers. Maybe it's not a ski trip like you mentioned, because that might be a little bit too much, but
Sure.
I really like the charity donations, a couple hours of handyman work from one of our carpenters. These are things that continue our relationship with the customer, rather than just, saying, here's a dollar amount, thank you for the referral. Let's keep in touch with our handyman. Let's keep doing work for this customer.
Yep. Excellent. And we know it's true, right? If we ever received a gift card, and let's say to a restaurant, when we pull that out, the person that got us that gift card is going to be mentioned, or we're going to remember it. And that experience, man, they appreciated that. That was great. You're going to find other referrals for them. You're going to be more apt. Just the studies have shown, and frankly, my own experience, good, bad, or different, has shown that that's the case for me. The more I refer. Thank you for this presentation. So interesting. Definitely send thank yous for all referrals. Yes, Dave. Simple, practical, effective. If you don't have thank you cards, here's a quick kind of side note related to thank you cards. I think sometimes we overanalyze, or we make things more complicated. I have a lot of people that immediately say, you know what, I don't have any thank you cards. And they say, well, I'm going to get to with my designer. We're going to put the logo on there. We're going to design these. And during that process, the air gets out of the balloon, and a lot of times I don't even see that finished thank you card. What I would urge you, if you don't have any thank you cards, go to Amazon.com, type in thank you cards. In about 3 seconds, you can buy some generic, simple thank you cards that look decent, and buy a 10-pack. Send out those 10, and then go out, if you want, and get some custom designed ones. But don't put these kind of roadblocks in front of you that says, oh, I got to get the design done, I've got to print it, and I'm going to print 500 copies because I got to print it. No, like literally 2 days from now, or if you're out and about, go to Office Depot, do the same thing. Implement. Don't overcomplicate it. It's a smart idea to send thank you cards. Make sure you have some. Step one is just to have some on your desk.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for the feedback, Jules.
Another thing I thought was interesting, Kyle, was how you talked about making referrals an expectation. When the customer comes into the process, you have the confidence in your work, especially, that we're going to expect that you give us a referral down the road. Because we're going to do such a good job for you. This process is going to be so pleasant and so different from others that you're going to want to give us a referral down the road.
That's and you got to word it right, but what you just said is solid, and it's just, that's our goal. Our goal is not to make you okay with the process or satisfied. Our goal is to make you thrilled with it. You're gonna want to tell others about us.
Right.
I think it's a great perspective, and sometimes that backfires. Sometimes you get called out on it a little bit of like, man, like I'm struggling to refer you in the future. Or, and I'm struggling to give you that 5-star Google review. Here's why. I'd rather know that in the middle, where I can fix it, I can work at it.
Right. Well, fantastic. Any other questions for us?
No, I think we had some good engagement, and closing gifts. Always a small gift that goes with the remodel. Cups for the kitchen, movie pack for the basement, soaps for the bathroom. Little things, right?
Oh,
Little
that's
things.
fantastic.
Yeah. The big thing with closing gifts is make it simple on yourself. It is wonderful to kind of customize a nice gift at the end of the project, but if you don't have a lot of staff, it can just turn cumbersome. And what I see often is, the last 10 jobs you did, because you're trying to make these custom packages, you only did it 3 times out of 10. When you buy something that kind of works for everybody, it's easy to kind of grab it and go and implement it. You're much more apt to do it consistently. So just a little thought related to that idea Mark shared. And then I would just emphasize those those bullets on the screen again. I've got this podcast going, Remodelers on the Rise. You can search for that on your however you're listening to podcasts. And then the private Facebook group is it's got about, I think we're almost up to 500 people in there, and just excellent communication, idea sharing, just a really good group of remodelers. And then if you're interested at all in setting up a complimentary strategy session with me, feel free to reach out or go to my website, remodelyourmarketing.com, and click on contact. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks again, Kyle. We really appreciate it. That was a fantastic presentation. I think really useful information. And from the engagement in the chat box, again, we really appreciate the engagement first off, but it really makes for a great presentation. We like the interaction, and it's good to see what you guys are implementing. Everything from Carlos and the change orders to Amanda and looking to implement some sort of gift idea, and then Mark telling us about the little things that he does at the end of each job. I think all of this is absolutely fantastic. But again, yeah, thank you, Kyle. This has been awesome. And again, Kyle will be with us in just a few weeks here, talking specifically about the sales process. And obviously, we're going to send out some more information about that. And then everyone that attended here is going to get 10% off their next bill with Clear Estimates. And we'll take care of that on the back end, so nothing you have to do. So Clear Estimates will take care of that. And then the webinar will be available, the recording on YouTube. We'll get that out within the next 24 hours, as well as a blog post just kind of outlining some bullet points, just a general recap. So you'll have both video and text to share, and those will both be available on our website, and we'll let you know. But yeah, thanks again, everyone. Any other notes, Kyle?
No, sounds good. Look forward to talking to you guys again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, everyone. And we'll have Kyle's information on our blog. It's obviously in the video here as well. And you can always get a hold of him, just remodelyourmarketing.com, and then Kyle at remodelyourmarketing.com. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, we're definitely welcome you again to another free webinar in just a few weeks about the sales process. But thanks again, everyone. We appreciate it.
Take care.